Welcome back to Munchausen's Proxy, where it is finally over. The long nightmare of creative bankruptcy is over. And despite our relief, I was actually surprised by the voids of writing talent in their final effort for Gotham Knights. I will explain as we go through the final spoiler review for Gotham Knights, as CW dropped episode 13 last week. I know it is very late, but I wound up going out of town on short notice before the last review was done, and so things piled up on me. But enough of that, let's do this. Last episode, we had the girls make us endure a post-Sapphic awkwardness before the idiots decided on a raid of the March residence. In the process, they discover both a gap floor of the March's building and Brody March's coffin. Duella and her mom are on land together, until they aren't, when Jane decides to cash in on her daughter by injecting her with the same stuff she hit Harvey with a couple of episodes ago. With Jane throwing off so many obvious signs of her impending descent into shitty Mother of the Year territory, I was shocked Duella did not pick up on it. I say almost because this is CW, and they put Batwoman writers in charge of this mess. Rebecca whacked the entire Court of Owls, including her husband, because she wants some more of Harvey naughty time. Oh, and her husband will be fine as soon as he revives, thanks to the Electrum. In his grave. Although that never made sense, but let's not think about it because it no longer matters. And finally, we had the idiots find the Court of Owls' banquet of death just in time to be arrested and blamed for those deaths as well. When we get to GCPD, Rebecca ends the episode by sending her army of Talons to go kill everybody, presumably including her son. This week we start with Turner and the other idiots in interrogation rooms being interviewed by the GCPD head shrinker because they are peddling a story that guarantees them all nice accommodations at Arkham rather than Blackgate. They try to tell the shrink about the court, Talon, and Brody even tries to get them to believe his mother is the leader of the Court of Owls. Nobody, however, is buying any of it. Before the intro plays, we see the Talons standing on the building opposite GCPD headquarters. Back on the gap floor at Wayne Tower, Rebecca takes the hood Harvey was wearing off and she asks him if he is going to make her beg. He tells her that it didn't have to be this way, and the dialogue in this scene was retarded. She's a little irritated with him because he couldn't resist digging, discovering her secrets. She offers to prolong his life to start over with her. He retorts that she is not the Rebecca he fell in love with, but she corrects him. He is not the Harvey who fell in love with her. He laughs, taunting her with the fact that it will take more than a few keys on the piano to change his mind. She acknowledges that as two goons bring Duella, struggling and bitching at them, into the room. They chain Duella to a chair as she points out that she shot him, so whatever Rebecca is doing won't work. Harvey wonders what she is doing, begging her to let Duella go and thereby confirming that what Rebecca has in mind will work. She gives him an easy choice. If he chooses his better half, then his daughter can leave alive. Of course, anyone with half a brain knows that is bullshit. One of the goons unveils a bomb and Duella mocks her plan. Rebecca points out that her mother was a blight on society and willing to trade her for cash. But Harvey is a good man, a moral man. He will do anything to save her. She will give him the disarm codes when he gives her the real Harvey. Robin's mom then shows up at GCPD wanting to see her daughter. The sergeant tells her she is still being questioned, and then congratulates her on raising the youngest mass murderer in Gotham history. Back in interrogation, Turner asks Commissioner Soto why it is so hard to believe he is not a murderer. Soto suggests that maybe it is because it runs in his blood. She was on his parents' murder case, which is when he accuses her of covering up for Batman, because he is a f***ing retard. She snaps back that she was protecting an 8-year-old boy, not Batman. She drops that his parents were notorious assassins whose last assignment was to kill Batman, which is how they died. An officer comes in and hands her a report. Apparently, the girls had traces of nitroglycerin on their jackets. When Soto brings Turner back to the holding cell, she asks them about it, and Harper guesses it was from the barrels they were hiding behind in the March building's gap floor. Brody thinks that all of those barrels were filled with nitro, and Turner thinks Rebecca is planning something terrible. He tells her that she has to trust him. She demands to know why. Just because they know where a bunch of bomb-making materials are? That is when all the lights in the building go out. Soto tries to get answers, and her people inform her the power has been cut. Robin mutters owls hunt better in the dark. Soto puts the building on lockdown, which is about when they manage to get the backup generators turned on. However, the Talons are already in the building. When they come back from commercial, the desk sergeant and a bunch of others are watching the Talons butcher the bomb squad in the garage. The sergeant is sending more guys to be killed, and Soto is demanding a report. Robin's mom sees the video and asks what the hell they are. Back at Wayne Tower, there are 45 minutes left on the bomb's clock. Harvey offers his condolences for Duella's mom selling her out, but she shuts him down. She is not doing that with him. He's fine with that. He will talk, and she can listen. He apologizes for her shitty childhood, but he did not know about her. He deserved every bit of her anger, but he is going to take his second chance to make it up to her. Someone cares about her now, and he will not let her die because of him. Crying, she accepts what he is saying wordlessly. At GCPD, the sergeant is trying to rally the troops, telling them to secure every way into that part of the building. That is when the elevator opens and a head rolls out of the opening doors. A Talon with an axe follows the head out, and the cops open fire on him to no effect. Other Talons cut their way through the cops in other areas of the building. Soto comes running into the holding area and asks how to stop them. Cullen incredulously demands to know if that means there is more than one. When Soto tells them that the nursery rhyme has added more characters, Robin says they need weapons, the ones confiscated from the Batcave. Soto demands to know what makes them think they can stop the Talons. Turner informs her that they did it before. They are the Gotham Knights. We immediately cut to the fully outfitted idiots rushing up the stairs to do battle with the Talons. Brody saves Turner after he gets thrown into a corner before Brody himself is tossed. The sergeant is pumping a Talon full of shotgun blasts and runs out of shells. In a move so obvious, I am shocked the writers were this blatant. Cullen appears out of nowhere to save him, wielding stun batons. Stephanie faces off with a Talon using an extendable staff, beating it back. Robin is fighting another Talon, and her mother is agape as she watches her hold her own against a Talon that is a foot taller than her. Mom tears her eyes away from Robin at the cry for help from a downed officer. She goes into triage mode. Things start turning dicey in the fight when Harper comes in with a stun cannon, hitting all of the Talons with balls of lightning. The lights go out before immediately coming back on in normal mode. That is when Robin sees her mom helping the officer. And of course there is one more Talon that comes up behind her. Robin screams as the Talon stabs Mom. Only then does she shoot the Talon with her crossbow, blowing it out of the window behind it. Robin cries over her mother as the idiots gather around and watch. When they come back from commercial, the ER at Gotham General is a madhouse with the casualties from the battle at GCPD HQ. Brody gives Turner an update on Robin's mom as they talk via cell phone. Turner asks after Robin. Brody tells him she is doing as would be expected, and then asks where he is. Turner is on his way to check out the gap floor at the March's building. He doesn't think it was a coincidence that the Talons took out the bomb squad first. Brody hangs up with a gem of wisdom, telling him to be careful. Although, with Turner, it is necessary to say the obvious from time to time because he is an idiot. With Turner in the elevator are the rest of the idiots, Cullen, Harper, and Stephanie. Cullen asks Stephanie if she and Harper are a thing now. The girls, standing with their shoulders touching, are shocked by the question. The guys tell them that they are extremely obvious. They get into the gap floor only to find a single barrel bomb. The other 7 are missing. Harper, of course, has a gadget that shows the bomb talking to the other 7 cell phones. Stephanie gets on her magic bullshit computer and finds that each of Alan Wayne's skyscrapers now has a bomb in it. Turner guesses this is how Rebecca is planning to disappear again, erasing all trace of her past. Harper states the obvious, that such explosions would be devastating catastrophes with massive death tolls. Conveniently, Harper discovers on her magic bullshit device that the other bombs are connected to a single bomb, located at Wayne Tower. Back with said bomb, Duella is checking it out when Harvey quips that he thought bombs were her specialty. She corrects him, reminding him bombs were the Joker's specialty. Harvey is thinking he might have to give Rebecca what she wants. Duella then discovers the cell phone attached to the bomb. She uses it to call the idiots, who are back in the Fortress of Imbecility. Harper answers and snarks at her. She tells her she has to go. Rebecca has planted bombs all over the city. Duella knows. She's chained to one. Harper puts her on speaker and Duella tells them that she is being held hostage with Harvey. She lets them in on Harvey's evil side and that it likes to come out to do things like kill his father, knock up her mother, and bang Rebecca. Stephanie asks what Rebecca wants, and Harvey briefs them on the deal that Rebecca will give him the disarm codes and let Duella go if he lets evil Harvey come out and leave Gotham with her. The idiots tell them they have a better solution. The bombs are networked together, and if Duella disarms her bomb, all the others will disarm too. Harper begins to give Duella instructions when Stephanie stops her, telling her Duella cannot disarm the bomb. Harper begins sniping about going through the same thing they went through with the mutant gang bomb, but Stephanie cuts her off. Duella is sure she can do it with their help, but Stephanie explains that if Duella disarms her bomb, then all of the other bombs detonate. Harvey protests that it doesn't make sense if Rebecca is going to give him the disarm code. Turner disagrees. It makes perfect sense, since she needs a new patsy. She flees the city with evil Harvey, and Duella takes the fall for bombing the other 7 buildings. Duella, however, points out that if she disarms her bomb, then it won't blow her up. Turner tells her not to touch anything. They will figure it out. At the hospital, Robin is sitting with her mother when she wakes up after surgery. Robin tells her mom the doctor said her mom is not out of the woods yet, but she is a fighter. Mom knows how to speak doctor bullshit, however, meaning she is in bad shape. She gets Robin to read her the chart. As Robin is reading it, Mom has her skip to the complications. Robin reads that she is in septic shock, and Mom tells her that they are treating her with a drug of last resort. Robin apologizes for getting her into this. Mom tells her that the city is lucky to have her, so she needs to go. The people of Gotham need her to save them, and leave her to the doctors. Gotham needs its Robin, at which point I wanted to vomit. Harvey then tells Duella that he needs to let evil Harvey out, but Duella objects. Harvey knows he is bad, but he is also clever and can help them think their way out. Duella disagrees. Fighting crazy with crazy is the definition of crazy. Harvey wants her to trust him. Duella retorts that what if she doesn't trust herself with the disarm code, if this is the only way out? He is sure this is the way out. Duella doesn't want to lose the person who told her that she didn't deserve the crappy life she was stuck in. He wants her to make a promise then. Find a way to bring him back. She asks what he means when he closes his eyes, and, after a few seconds, evil Harvey opens his eyes and laughs, wondering what mess Harvey has gotten them into this time. Duella is horrified. When they come back from commercial, Turner swears they will find a way to get Harvey and Duella out of this. She informs him that Harvey can't come to the phone right now because he is currently the other guy who lives in Harvey's head. She hangs up on Turner, and Harper wonders how many of them think Duella is actually going to save the city that never gave a damn about her. That is when Robin and Brody come in. Turner asks how her mom is doing, and she replies that saving Gotham is a welcome distraction. That is when Stephanie cuts in, doubting that they can save the city from Duella saving herself. She is sure they all know what Duella will do. Harper suggests she and Stephanie could reverse engineer the mother bomb so that disarming the mother bomb disarms the other bombs. Robin wants to clarify that they are really talking about blowing up Duella and Harvey. Turner asks if there isn't a better solution, and Brody replies that they are saying this is the better solution. Turner sticks up for Duella's character, and he and Cullen argue over whether they can count on Duella not saving herself while killing tens of thousands of the other building's residents while doing it. Turner defends her, hauling out the non sequitur of his parents being killed by Batman because they were assassins trying to kill him. He uses that to defend Duella, and the idiot's resistance to trusting Duella's character crumbles ridiculously fast as they agree to trust her. They then decide that detonating one bomb harmlessly might be their best bet. Cullen calls the sergeant asking for his help evacuating Wayne Tower, but the sergeant is short-handed with everybody who's in the hospital. Cullen urges the sergeant to trust him that diverting resources is worth it. Back with Evil Harvey and Duella, Evil Harvey looks up at the camera watching them and calls out to Rebecca teasingly. The bomb suddenly has a disarm button, and Evil Harvey asks her to hit it for him. Duella glares at him, telling him she knew this would happen. Evil Harvey urges her to push it, and she tells him he promised her a way out of this. Evil Harvey tells her that Harvey is the White Knight. All talk. He is the action guy. That is why he is here. Duella can't. Harvey wonders why she can't turn her back on a city that hates her. Duella challenges him, wanting to know if he is really suggesting she kill thousands of people to save herself. He smiles and tells her she has been saving herself her whole life. Hopefully she got it from him. She laughs and says hopefully she didn't inherit the need to be somebody's bitch. She taunts him about Rebecca March being her dog, trading one prison for another. Duella warns him that Rebecca will turn on him, eventually, just like she did Lincoln. That is when Rebecca comes in and cuts him loose. He thanks her for rescuing him as they suck face. She informs him that it is time, and he tells her they will have plenty of time. Or at least one of them will. Then he starts to throttle her. She yells for help and a goon comes in, but Evil Harvey shrugs him off fairly easily. He goes back to strangling Rebecca, and she breaks a beaker over his face, turning him into Two-Face. Duella yells for her dad. Another goon comes in and punches Two-Face, knocking him out. Rebecca tells the goon to get him out of there. Duella stares helplessly as he is dragged away. Back from a commercial, and GCPD is mobilizing to evacuate Wayne Tower. Robin and the idiots infiltrate the Gap floor. Duella tells Rebecca that she won't help her cover her tracks. Rebecca wonders if she will be so brave when she is up there all alone with the bomb. She tells Duella that she is the perfect patsy because Gotham was so willing to believe the worst things about her. And they were willing to believe them because they were true. That is when Turner comes to the rescue, white knighting for her, saying it shows Gotham and she don't know Duella. Goons come in and are put down rather easily by Turner and Robin. While that was happening, Rebecca has pulled a gun and is aiming it at Turner. Instead of pulling the trigger like a smart villain, she decides to speechify, telling him she knows he was always worried about living up to Bruce Wayne's legacy. She does see him in Turner, particularly the part about him being dead too. Before she can fire, however, Brody injects her with the electrum that she was going to inject into Harvey. He lowers her to the ground as she tells him that he could have had the world, but he tells her not like this. As she seems to die, she tells him that her talons will find him. Turner cuts Duella loose and she thanks him disbelievingly, given all of the times she screwed them over. He kisses her. Then he asks where Harvey is, which is why we cut to the elevator, where Harvey revives and kills the goon with him. Robin sees a container with a speck of electrum and thinks it might be able to save her mother. Brody thinks it would be nice to finally see it used for good. Turner calls down to Cullen to ask how things are going. Cullen lets them know the perimeter is now clear. The girls back at the tower untether the bombs so that when the Wayne Tower bomb blows, the other bombs will be neutralized. Cullen warns them that Talons are on the way, and Turner smiles, saying, quote, "Good," unquote. Duella wonders how that is good, and he tells her because they will be in the building when it blows. The idiots bug out. The elevator is empty except for the dead goon Two-Face killed, the wall covered in blood. Turner is stony-faced when he sees it. The flashbacks commence as Turner remembers scenes with Harvey and Robin talking to him about Bruce. When the elevator doors open, Robin, Brody, and Duella run out, but Turner, being the idiot that he is, stays in the elevator. Duella notices he stopped and turns back, telling him they don't have time. He wants to go get his father's journals. They are all he has left of him. He tells Duella to go, and he will be right behind them. She runs back, but the elevator doors close before she can get there. They run out of the building, and Turner makes it to Bruce's office to get the journals. Cullen calls up for him on the comms, and Turner tells them he is on his way as he shoves the journals in a convenient duffel bag with less than a minute left. He is running across the lobby when he is shot. He turns over to see who it was and sees Rebecca standing there with her gun pointed at him again. She growls that he took her legacy from her, so she will take Bruce Wayne's from him. Turner replies that as long as Gotham survives, Bruce Wayne's legacy will survive. Rebecca tells the Talons that have arrived to tear him apart. Just as they are about to cut him to pieces, masked and camouflaged men shoot the Talons and Rebecca with stun cannons. Speaking French, they say the asset has been secured. Out in the car, Cullen calls on the comms wanting to know where Turner is as the bomb counts down to 0. The bomb explodes and Wayne Tower conveniently comes down in a neat vertical fall as Duella screams, "No!" The idiots watch in horror. The girls watch from the big window in the tower, and Stephanie yells on the comms, asking if Turner made it out. When they come back from commercial, Robin is visiting her mom. Mom is feeling miraculously better, which she is slightly suspicious about, and asks Robin if she saved the day. Robin looks down despondently, and Mom asks what's wrong. We then get a newscast about Wayne Tower's collapse and the violent attacks around the city. They tell the city that GCPD was crediting the Gotham Knights for saving the people in Wayne Tower from its destruction. The idiots are in the waiting room with Robin when the sergeant comes to find Cullen. He tells him that he was a better fake cop than most real cops are. Stephanie gets up and asks if there is any news. The sergeant looks down before telling them that Wayne Tower surveillance was corrupted in the final moments, but that they found body parts of the Talons in the lobby. He thinks it means Turner clearly put up a good fight. Duella pushes through the crowd around the sergeant to ask about Harvey Dent, which is when we cut to the trailer park and Jane sneaking back to the trailer with her bag of cash. Somehow she misses Harvey waiting for her in the dark. He chides her for giving up her own daughter after calling him a monster, which is when he turns his face into the light and shows how ruined it is. She is horrified. He pulls out a gun and points it at Jane, telling Jane that she hurt Duella. Jane begs for a chance. He lowers the gun with a thoughtful look and pulls out a coin. the owl coin that saved him from being killed by Duella. He flips it to decide if she lives. Then they cut to the exterior of the trailer before 2 gunshots are heard and seen inside the trailer. The idiots are packing up their stuff the next day after finally clearing their names. Duella is mourning by the big window while everyone else is below. Stephanie asks Harper what she will do next. Harper teases about maybe enrolling into Gotham Academy, if they have any scholarships. Stephanie hopes they do because her parents won't be paying her tuition, since their money will be going to their legal defense funds. Duella comes down and says, quote, "So that's it? Back to your boring lives? Homework, prom, cafeteria food? No more Gotham Knights?" Unquote. They look at her a little surprised, and Robin points out she hated the Gotham Knights. She hated the name, and when people called them that. Duella acknowledges that, reiterating that it is a stupid name, but that people still need them. Harper wonders if she even cares about the people. Duella admits that she doesn't, but Turner did, and she cares about him. Stephanie agrees that the best way to honor his memory is to keep fighting. All of the idiots are in on that idea, including Brody. Duella says, quote, "It's what Bat Brat would want," unquote. Then we have a dark SUV drive up to what looks like a European mountain chateau near a river. Thugs let Turner out, his hair dyed darker. He looks around and a guy comes out of the chateau. Henri Dugard introduces himself as his savior, rather than his kidnapper as Turner suggests he is. Turner recognizes his name, if not necessarily his face, as his parents' friend, Mr. Henry. He wants to know what he is doing there. Henri tells him he has shown a lot of promise, and Turner notes that the Court of Owls thought the same thing. Henri agrees, but observes they underestimated him. He won't. He taught Turner's parents and Bruce Wayne, and he will teach Turner everything he knows. Turner wants to know what about his life in Gotham, but Henri says he doesn't have one anymore. Then he asks about his friend, and Henri replies that everyone thinks he's dead, and that is a perfect place to start. And that is how this dreadful shit show ended. I'll start my commentary by saying that this might actually have been the best episode. That's not saying it even approached anything resembling good, but the writing was less execrable and mildly tolerable. The ratings have consistently shown that it is not good, and while the overall ratings actually went up for this episode, the demo actually dropped to 0.03. I think the ratings only jumped from 284,000 to 330,000 because episode 12 was better than episode 11, which was god-awful. After 13 episodes, Gotham Knights only managed to attract an average of 399,000 viewers, with a .07 demo. And that was buffered by a seemingly massive premiere episode rating of 609,000 and a demo of .11. Compared to the rest of the season, that was awesome. Compared to good shows, that is dreadful. This show was dog shit, and the only redeeming thing to come out of it were certain episode performances of Olivia Rose Keegan as Duella. Nothing else was worth watching. So let's get into what was wrong with this episode, and I will leave my overall commentary for a series review sometime next week or so, since I have to go out of town again. The opening interrogation scenes were just... Ugh. I know, the story they were trying to sell to the GCPD shrink was the truth, and the only story they had. But they also should have known nobody was going to believe them and shut their damn mouths until their lawyers got there. Yes, they would have been half-assed public defender lawyers, but they still should not have even tried peddling the truth. Nobody was going to be buying. I actually did not have much in the way of complaints in the opening scene between Rebecca and Harvey and Duella. Rebecca, being played by Lawrence DeMille, was still a trash character, being portrayed badly with terrible writing. But that is the entire show. Harvey was actually halfway decent in a few of these scenes, and Duella was pretty good in this episode overall. Rebecca's obsession with evil Harvey was a little odd, seeing as how she seems pretty flexible when it comes to who slips her the salami. And she is just as flexible when it comes time to getting rid of them when she is done with them. Why is she so fixated on Harvey Dent's dark side is beyond me. Buying Duella from Jane to use against Harvey to have him voluntarily surrender to his dark side was actually pretty smart and shows she knows his character. The retarded in that storyline comes later. Robin's mom showing up at the police station demanding to see her daughter was mildly dumb, but just mildly. She is an intelligent enough woman to become a highly respected doctor, so she should know that nobody who is found in a room full of dead bodies is going to see anyone but lawyers and cops for a good long time. But she is also a mom whose daughter is a vigilante and was arrested, so she's going to want to see her, no matter how unlikely it is that will happen. On the other hand, Robin is still a minor, so nobody should be talking to her without a parent. So either way, this is just another example of the writers not knowing what they're doing as far as the justice system. Then we have a thread that was the most retarded plot point in the entire episode. Commissioner Soto dropping the news that Turner's parents were assassins who died trying to kill Batman was idiotic. That they decided to drop it in the season/series finale was even more moronic. Yes, I know, they were probably hoping for a second season, and that would be used as part of the second season plot. But it is dumb. First, assassins travel a lot, since their targets don't come to them, and nothing about Turner and his pre-Bruce Wayne existence hinted that his parents were away a lot when he was younger. He not once mentioned staying with friends or relatives often as a child before his parents died, and there was no hint of a nanny or live-in housekeeper who could keep an eye on him while they're gone. Soto thinking Turner was perfectly capable of whacking a room full of people just because his parents were assassins is also kind of dumb. If they were serial killers, I might buy that, especially if Turner had any kind of history of violence. As far as I could tell watching this show, however, he did not. He was a model citizen up until his adopted father was whacked and thrown out a window. Or whacked by being thrown out of a window. I forget if we ever got a cause of death on Bruce in this show. And Turner's chat with Soto is interrupted by a cop bringing news that the ladies are covered in traces of nitroglycerin. What does Soto do? Take Turner back and demand to know what they were doing with nitro? Demand to know where the bombs they were obviously making before they got arrested? Or even, how did you get nitro on your jacket? No. She tells them about the report and they take it from there, extrapolating that Rebecca is planning a massive bombing with multiple barrels they saw on the Gap floor in the Marches building. And when they volunteer that info, Soto is not even slightly believing any of it, which I could understand if they were all juvenile offenders with long rap sheets. However, as far as I know, only the siblings have a rap sheet of any length, and Brody has one minor computer hacking charge. Nothing involving explosives for any of them, and certainly nothing as volatile as nitroglycerin. But that is when the lights go out, announcing the arrival of the Talons. They cut through GCPD like a hot knife through butter, starting with the bomb squad, which should have clued the commissioner in on the fact that the idiots were telling the truth. Then we finally have a good scene with Misha Collins that didn't involve his alter ego. He apologizes to Duella and offers to do all he could to make up to her the fact that her mother kept him in the dark about having procreated. Duella doesn't say anything, which was the perfect thing to do in that scene. And it was scenes like that, and the one with Duella, Robin, and Eunice that so frustrated and infuriated me watching this mess. Somewhere in the incompetent pea-sized brain being carried around on the shoulders of one or more of the showrunners and or writers is a modicum of competence. However, they are too stupid to recognize it themselves and too busy pushing the message to allow it to produce anything but absolute dreck for 98% of this show's run. Misha Collins was wasted for most of that run with execrable writing. But that is a rant for the series rundown. The police quickly realize they are f***ed, seeing their comrades being mowed down like wheat. The Talons get into the main portion of the station and start giving free Ginsu demonstrations using cops. Soto scrambles back to the holding cells to ask Turner and the idiots for advice. Why? Minutes ago, she was doubting their answers as to why the girls had nitro on their clothes and telling Turner he was a cold-blooded killer because his parents were assassins. Now she wants his help? Not buying it. Or the actress playing Soto. She has been one of the more uninspired performances of the tertiary characters, and this episode was no different. But then Robin demands their freedom and the weapons from the Batcave to fight the Talon army. And she gives it to them. Whatever. The next scene after Turner outs them as the Gotham Knights is them running into battle in full kit, in slow motion. CW, please take the slow-mo button from all of your showrunners. They abuse it like bored kids playing with car windows. The fight scenes were fairly rudimentary, which might explain why they used the slow-mo, trying to give it gravitas and coolness where there was none to be had at full speed. As soon as Robin's mom goes in to help the downed officer, you knew she was toast. Not burnt, unsalvageable toast. No, more like just slightly crispy toast that would be fine by the end of the episode. You also knew, if you noticed that Harper was missing from those vignettes, that she would show up to save the day as things got dicey. That she did it with a ball lightning cannon was complete bullshit, but this is Gotham Knights. When Brody and Turner talk to each other on the phone, you would swear that dialogue was written by an AI programmed by the last ranked graduate of the You Too Can Be a Programmer correspondence course offered by the University of Southern Southeastern West Virginia at Billy Bob's Hickville. How is Robin doing? How do you think she's doing after watching a Talon skewer her mom? You don't think it was a coincidence that the Talons butchered the bomb squad first? Really? Whatever gave you that brainstorm? Turner should be careful going to check out the gap floor of Brody's crazy bitch of a mother's building where there could be a barrel or two of nitroglycerin ready to give Rebecca a clean exit from Gotham? No shit, Sherlock. In the elevator, there was not a single molecule's distance between Harper and Stephanie, and they were somehow surprised that even guys might cotton on to the fact that the two of them might have been rubbing beavers in the recent past. On that subject, someone in the comments of last episode's review noted that at no point did the idiots running this show have a scene where Stephanie breaks up with Brody because she discovered she likes clam rather than hot dog for bedroom fun time. They had a scene where she stomps all over Turner's heart, but apparently Brody was too inconsequential to get the big letdown. They mention Brody in that scene after Turner tries to kiss Stephanie as he is dying from radiation poisoning and she decides to stomp all over his heart, but they never actually show her ditching him. It makes me think they originally had her written as bi, but by the third episode scene with Harper and Stephanie trying to disarm the mutant gang's bomb, they were already starting to introduce the tension between the two girls. It got more and more obvious that that was the direction they were going with those two characters. So having the other characters completely miss it until the latter half of the final episode was ridiculous. And since they are so obvious, it makes the lack of a breakup scene that much more awkward since Brody is now on Team Idiot with two chicks making bedroom eyes at each other, one of whom is still technically his girlfriend who is supposed to get nothing from sucking face with him. Something which is not entirely believable given the giant smile Brody put on her face at Turner's party in the first episode when he interrupted their precoital explorations. Then the magic began. No, I'm not talking about scissoring. I'm referring to when they find the first bomb and Stephanie is magically able to discern that all of the Wayne buildings have bombs in them via her magic bullshit computer in no time at all. That is not how that shit works. It gets worse when Harper's magic bullshit device not only tells them the bombs are talking to each other, but that they are all connected to the bomb at Wayne Tower. All in practically no time at all. Utter nonsense. And Rebecca must be the most retarded bomb maker in the history of bomb making, as well as the worst kidnapper in the history of kidnapping. She not only makes a bomb so easily hacked that Stephanie barely has to touch a key to know everything they need to know how to stop Rebecca, but she also makes sure to attach a conveniently functional cell phone to the bomb and make sure that Duella can use it without detonating any of the bombs. On top of those stupidities, she's watching them via a camera pointed at the two dens, but lets Duella make phone calls to her friends, who are the reason Rebecca needs an exit strategy as extreme as blowing up 8 skyscrapers full of people to erase all traces of her. As she is talking to the idiots, they discover yet another bomb stupidity. Why would anyone build a bomb that is hooked into other bombs, but disarming the main bomb will blow up the other bombs and vice versa? And no, it doesn't make sense to do it that way to make Duella the patsy when the other bombs go off. Cops finding Duella chained to a bomb is not going to make them think she was the bomb maker, especially if her fingerprints are not on any of the components other than the cell phone. The phone would have records of the calls she made, and there will be witnesses to corroborate that she was a hostage. I had no problem with the scene post-op between Robin and her mother, beyond neither of them being good actresses, and the dialogue being stilted. Having Mom heap validation onto Robin for being a vigilante when the last few episodes she was punishing her for it was on the retarded side, but at this point, that is pretty good for those two. Maybe that scene would have worked if Nevia Robinson was not 5'0" and weighed more than 90 pounds. She was just not believable as a vigilante at any point in this show. And her lack of ability to emote was astounding. She makes Brie Larson look like the pinnacle of acting ability, rather than the plank of wood she is. Even in the middle of her fight with Mom last episode, her face was frozen in an expression of mild focus. You knew as soon as they showed Harvey bound to a chair that two things were going to happen eventually in this episode. First, he would have to let evil Harvey out to play. Second, somehow he would wind up two-faced. It is irritating that he was a character in this show at all after Batman was killed. Two-Face is a Batman villain. Not only was he poorly portrayed by Misha Collins and given crap writing to work with, but he was not really Two-Face for all but one scene in 13 episodes. An utter waste of a great Batman villain, and an even worse waste of Misha Collins' acting talent. That all of that happens after he and Duella finally connect through something other than anger and surprise was tragic. and probably unintentional. The scene where the idiots debate the staunchness of Duella's character almost put me into a coma. I rolled my eyes so hard. Oh, not the fact that they had the debate. After all, there's a lot to debate about Duella's character and whether it even exists. No, the seizure-inducing stupidity was Turner's defense of her, especially after leaving him to her mother's machinations and bolting from the tower last episode. The other idiots were squarely united in doubting Duella would do anything other than save herself at the expense of tens of thousands of residents and passers-by in the skyscrapers that were about to be blown up. Then Turner tells them about his parents being assassins who died trying to kill Batman, and suddenly they were willing to believe in Duella's lack of moral turpitude. What? How is that non sequitur the only and winning argument in that debate? What the f*** does Turner's assassin parents even have to do with Duella and whether or not she will save herself by blowing up 7 skyscrapers worth of people? Completely imbecilic. And then they decide to blow up Duella's bomb anyway. What the f***? And somehow, the GCPD sergeant trusts Cullen enough to divert the dozens of men he needs elsewhere to evacuate Wayne Tower? Oh, and how is Rebecca unaware of this going on, by the way? The disaster of Wayne Tower blowing up is kind of her exit strategy. Other bodies in the rubble are needed to cover her not being there when the dust clears. And we finally get the two-facing scene. For reasons, Rebecca cuts evil Harvey loose and he decides to strangle her? Now, I completely understand the impulse. I have wanted to strangle Rebecca March myself over this season. Was it something Duella said? If so, that is just as dumb as it not being something Duella said. None of that made sense unless you look at it from the angle of the writers wanting Harvey to become Two-Face in the season finale. Then it makes perfect imbecilic sense. Instead of immediately leaving, Rebecca once more has to give a villain speech in order to give Turner time to White Knight. And even when she winds up with him in her crosshairs, she still has to give a speech. It is made worse because none of the writers on this show can write a good speech if they were chained to a bomb and only a good speech would save them. You just knew it would be Brody who would wind up getting her, even if it was stupidly done by injecting her with more Electrum. Electrum is like polonium, not immediately fatal, meaning her scenes in this episode were not done. As I knew she would, Robin finds a way to save Mom on their way out of the building, which is where we once again are treated to the Turner is a drooling idiot show. While everyone else is hightailing it out of the building, he wants to go back for Bruce's journals. This sequence is not plausible on so many levels. The most pressing one of those is that there is no way he has time to go back up in the elevator to his father's office, find the journals, load them into a bag, get back on the elevator, go all the way down, and run out of the building to a safe area in less than a minute, which is what I believe was on the clock at the time. They went full retard on this one. Also, didn't they take the journals, or at least most of them, when they raided the office in the second episode? I remember them putting journals into a bag in that episode, so how did they all wind up back on the shelf in Bruce's office? Rebecca shooting him as he runs across the lobby, stopping to make another speech before ordering the Talons to attack, was just par for the course in this episode. After all, we needed time for the French guys to come save Turner and whisk him away, somehow with plenty of time to get out without being seen before the bomb blew the building down around them. Following this episode, every surviving cop should know who the Gotham Knights are, including the sergeant that comes to see them in the hospital waiting room to give Cullen validation. Oh, and news they found Talon parts in the lobby. Which means Eventually, all the criminals will know who they are, which means they might as well stay in the tower at Gotham Academy since it is not going to be safe for them on the streets. Harvey whacking Jane was predictable. As callous and twisted as evil Harvey is, there was still a glimmer of pride in Duella as his child. Having his baby mama sell her to Rebecca would not have sat well with him. I will say they did a decent job on the makeup for that. Better than I was expecting for a CW show. The wrap-up scene in the tower as they all clear out to go back to their lives was also predictable. And corny. None of them, with the exception of Duella, is over 18, if I recall correctly, which means they should all have been beset by the kind drones of child services after they were done playing superhero. Brody and Stephanie probably have other family they would go to, but the siblings would be in foster care. Robin would either join them or go to a relative until Mom was back on her feet. Them all deciding to continue as Gotham Knights was not a surprise. What was a surprise was Turner being hijacked out of a CW show and into a Junior James Bond show. If Henri Dugard did not take Turner when he was younger, why now? Why, when it is so convenient to the plot for Turner to be whisked away to assassin camp? Henri Dugard is not really an assassin master in the comics, but the man who taught Bruce Wayne and others how to be investigators. Why the failed Batwoman writers in charge of this show decided to make him a master assassin is beyond me. Having him grab Turner seconds from Wayne Tower blowing up is just incongruous. Almost as if they were setting up a second storyline. Thankfully, we won't get to see such stupidity play out. It would probably be as believable as Willa Holland's Thea Queen on Arrow become a badass, all supposedly 5'5" and 120 pounds of her. This show never approached anything that any sane network or studio should film past the pilot. And the pilot for this show was dreadfully dumb. CW should have seen that first episode and canceled it before it ever aired. However, CW was run by ideologues when the show was commissioned, and Warner Brothers and DC were as well. They saw nothing wrong with this show because it was pushing the messages they wanted pushed. It did not matter that they could not get anyone but the activists and hate watchers to show up each week. It did not matter that there was no redeeming value to any of it. With a new regime in charge at CW, I was kind of surprised that it was not canned sooner. However, my pet theory on that is Nexstar kept it around because they knew nothing new would be written due to the impending writer's strike. So Gotham Knights went on. And on. And on. The three idiots running this show should be run out of Hollywood. This is the second absolute train wreck they have been instrumental in conducting to a fiery demise. But like their swan dive with Batwoman, they will undoubtedly fail upward and be rewarded for running this show off a cliff as well. Hopefully I will find something less soul-sucking than this to review next time. But with the writers on strike and the actors due to join them if a deal is not reached by July 12th, it is likely there will be no new shows for a long while. That is all I have for this video. If you like the video, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified of a new video. Also, please hit the like button, share the video, and comment down below. It is much appreciated. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going out of town for a few days again, so my next videos will be scheduled trailer reviews. When I get back, I will be working on getting the How to Fix Marvel video edited and loaded for your perusal. Until then, tschüss.